morning. Good morning all the centers. Everybody, how are you? Yes, Shillong. How are you? Good. Am I audible? Yes, no? Yes, Tamil Long, good morning. How are you, child? We are connected, Shillong? Are we? Yes. Are we I can see you. Yes, Shillong. So we are supposedly going to start a new chapter. Let me know if you have any doubts from yesterday's topic. Yes, please let me know. Yeah, we are done with the chapter microbes in human welfare. Yes, we have done. We did microbes in human welfare first, and then strategies on Monday, and on Tuesday, yesterday, we did organism and population, and today we are going to do ecosystem. So we are done with the chapter. I will be sending you notes anyhow. If you have any problem, I will just send the notes on the group. You can just refer to the video of that particular chapter and notes obviously, and if in case of any problem, you can ask me. Okay, Tamil? Yes, Itanagar, good morning. How are you? Yes, Shillong, am I audible? Shillong, are we connected? Yes, okay, fine. Now you are connected to me. Okay, fine. Now you are connected. So we are supposedly going to start a new chapter, ecosystem. Yesterday's chapter, day before yesterday's chapter, all the things are clear? Yes. Everybody, Itanagar, Tamilnong, Shillong, day before yesterday's chapters are clear? Yes, no? Did you go back home and try to solve anything, any question from those chapters? Okay, fine, fine, very good. Itanagar, what about you, child? It's clear? So can we proceed with this new chapter? We can, I guess. Okay, fine, very good. Okay, so this is the last chapter of your, this is the third last chapter of your ecology, that is ecosystem. So ecosystem is basically what? Ecosystem is basically a structure which has like everything that is surrounding you, whatever things are surrounding you, all the things that are coming under that particular, whether it is a living thing, non-living thing, all the things, they comprise of a particular structure, and that is particularly called as ecosystem. So all the organisms of any unit which are interacting with the physical environment, the physical environment you know now, what are the physical environment, it is the abiotic factors, and in a way that there is a flow of energy, that is the energy flows from a lower trophic level to a higher, then again to its higher, then highest trophic level. So leads to a trophic structure, biotic diversity, material cycle, and this all is known as what? This all is known as ecosystem, isn't it? This all is known as ecosystem. So this ecosystem is basically a term which was given by Sir Arthur Transley. Mark it important. You got the notes? You got the notes, everybody? Just now I have sent 5 minutes earlier. Just check on. You must have got it. PDF file. The same thing which is running on your screen. Did you get it? Itanagar, Tamilong, Shillong? Yes, just now I have sent 5 minutes ago. Okay, so this is a term which was given by Sir Arthur Translate. Just keep his name in mind. This can come for a question. This can be a question. That is, who gave the term ecosystem? This has been asked many times also. So we will divide ecosystem into two broad categories. What are they? We will be dividing into number 1 terrestrial, number 2 aquatic. So we have two different categories of ecosystem. What are they? Terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. So terrestrial, whatever is on land like forest, grassland, desert, all they come under terrestrial ecosystem. And aquatic is something which is related to water. That is, it can be either fresh water or marine water. So freshwater ecosystems, pond, lake, stream, and salt water, all the marine estuaries. Sea, oceans, all of them, they come under saltwater ecosystem. Now, ecosystem, if nature is present naturally, or it can be present artificially. So, artificial ecosystem, we have garden, agriculture, aquarium. You know aquarium? You know aquarium, everybody? What is an aquarium? Yes. You know what is an aquarium? Yes, you must be aware that you can keep fishes, you can keep plants of your own choice. That is, you are designing it. Similarly, garden also, you are designing it. Exactly. So you are putting the things what you want. Nature is not putting. You are just selecting the things and making a type of system where things are evolving in a way you wish. So these are called as artificial ecosystem. Now, ecosystem has two components. I started with this thing only, that we have two components of ecosystem. The first is the non-living component and second is the living component. The non-living is called as abiotic. Yesterday also we did the abiotic things, and the living ones are called as biotic components. So these are the components of ecosystem. So these are what? These are components of ecosystem. So if you talk about inorganic components, what can be they? They are obviously the inorganic substances or the minerals which are totally non-living, and they are organic substances. When you talk about inorganic substances, all the things, minerals and everything, they are said to be what? They are said to be standing state. This is important. This is very, very important. Standing state. So standing state is what? Standing state or standing quality. Standing state or standing quality is the composition of the ecosystem that comprises of abiotic things. That is minerals and inorganic substances. When you talk about biotic components, we have number 1 producers, number 2 consumers, number 3 decomposers. These are the biotic components of the ecosystem. Producers, you know very well, producers are the green plants, those organisms that can produce things on their own. Consumers, which are depending on their green plants. And when consumers and decomposers, both of them die, that is, they are also dying, they are also dying. After death, or after they are no more living, they are broken down by the last part of the ecosystem biotic component, that is decomposers. Now, organic substances present in an ecosystem is decided by different types of climatic conditions. So what kind of climatic conditions you have? They decide the organic composition like temperature, pH, light, all of them, they are going to decide the organic composition of the ecosystem. So whatever organic things you are having in your ecosystem, that is like organic substances are what, like particular kind of things which were living, rich in carbon. So obviously the more plants you have, you will be having more of organic substances compared to less carbon. So these particular factors are controlled by climatic conditions. And what are the climatic conditions? Temperature, pH, light, etc. Clear? Now, this is stratification. What is stratification? You must have observed in a forest, there are trees which are very high, then you have a little higher, then less, and then grasses. So this kind of adjustment, this kind of arrangement is termed as stratification. Obviously the trees which are having the highest height need more light, and which are present on the lowest level, they need least light. So tree canopy, top, vertical strata, layer of the forest shrub, the second, and the herbs and grasses occupy the bottom layer. So tree canopy is the top layer, second is by herbs, and third and last is by grasses, the bottom layer. So in this way, what we have is, we have a vertical distribution according to the light requirement by the plant. So if a plant requires a huge amount of light, it will try to occupy the canopy on the most highest point. That is, it will be having its canopy well spread over the area. So you can observe from today onwards, if you see a very big tree, that means it needs a huge amount of light. So it will spread its canopy throughout the area, maximize it. Then if you need less amount of light, what I will be doing is, I will be spreading my canopy to a comparatively lower amount of lower region of light. So this kind of arrangement is present. So components of ecosystem. Let's see what are the components of ecosystem. The chapter actually starts. The first component is productivity, second is decomposition, third is energy flow, fourth is nutrient cycling. So one by one we are going to attend all the components. So when you talk about productivity, what comes into your mind? Obviously what you think is green plants. Exactly, they are the producers, you must think about them only. So they are autotroph, having chlorophyll, produce their own food. How? By fixing light energy and all those things. You are already aware. Inorganic abiotic substances, that is, they will be using simplest of the simplest things like CO2, water, minerals, certain category of ions, and they will be doing what? They will be changing all those things magically into sucrose, and sucrose will be converted and stored in the form of starch. Vinith sir must have taught you all these things. So these are the basic things what producers are supposedly going to do. Consumers, that is we people, or phagotrophs. Phagotrophs are the decomposers. They all belong to the category of heterotrophs. Now consumers can be of three types. Number one, primary, secondary, tertiary. So what is a primary consumer? Which is directly depending on an autotroph. Secondary consumer depends on primary, and tertiary consumer depends on secondary consumer. So primary consumes what? Secondary consumer consumes So in this way we have these consumers depending on every type of the organisms. And what is decomposer doing? Decomposer is actually, or saprotroph or saprophyte, they are actually breaking down the dead organic material, or called as detritus. So what is detritus? What is detritus? Detritus is dead organic matter. Mind it, it is organic, not inorganic. When you are attempting questions in NEET, they might give you an option as inorganic. Be sure you are going for organic. So detritus is dead organic matter. And what is decomposing detritus? Bacteria and fungi. So bacteria and fungi are the organisms which are living on detritus. Fine? Are we clear up to this? Everybody? Clear? Itanagar, Tamilong, Shillong, are we sorted? Clear up to this? Everybody? Very good. So food level is called as trophic level. So if you are present at the base, that is the producers, which are the particular organisms that are supposedly going to produce for us, they belong to the first trophic level. The producers are eaten up by herbivore animals like cow, goat, sheep, deer. All those are constructing or constituting the second trophic level. And finally you have what? You have the carnivores, that is lion, tiger, who are depending on the herbivores and constituting the third trophic level, isn't it? This is standing state. Mind it, standing state was earlier also discussed by us. Where? On the first page itself. Let me take you to that page also once. Yes, over here. See, I discussed it earlier also, standing state. Now there are two terms that can confuse you in exam: the standing state and standing crop. Two similar kind of terms, but yes, the meanings are quite different. Now when you talk about standing state, we talk about amount of nutrients. Mind it, that is non-living things. The second term, what might confuse you, standing crop. This is amount of living biomass. Obviously crop is something which is living, isn't it? We have crops in our field, so they are living. So you can learn in this way that whatever is living, they construct or constitute standing crop, and something which is non-living, which is nutrient, mineral, all those things, they constitute the standing state. So you have two things, standing state and standing crop. Are we clear? Are we clear, children? Yes. Why is the attendance so thin in Shillong? Where are other children? Very good, Tamil Nadu. Yes. Itanagar, are you clear, child? Yes. Why is the attendance so thin at Shillong? What happened? Is it very cold? Answer me, why? Yes, it is cold in Delhi also. So Tell me, what should we do? Rest at home? You have exams. Why it is so thin attendance? Tell me. Should not be. Because your exams are approaching, at this point of time you require more of input, isn't it? You should finish your maximum things, maximum part of syllabus by Jan Feb. Okay, no issues, just get to know, and if you can, you tell your friends to like come to classes. That would be good for them itself, good for them only. So you should complete your maximum syllabus up to Feb. You have to complete. Today I will be done with my syllabus part. Now whatever things will be done, it will be done in the Vineet sir's part. Okay, I will be done with my syllabus today. So you have to complete your things in a certain way that you get to have self-study time. Okay, only attending classes and obviously not attending classes are not good for you. You have to manage time now. By February, your revision part should be over. You should be complete with all the things which are new. And from March onwards, March and April, you should be only and only revision. See, I am completing things on 15th of January. So I am giving you a lot of time to revise and ask questions. Isn't it? Zoology part is over. So you can ask a lot of questions now. Only thing will be practice. Do questions, ask me if you are not able to do so. Solve them. That would be beneficial on your part. Isn't it? The more you practice, the more chances of getting a good seat are there. Keep in mind, you people are mature enough, I guess, and please, now the main thing has started. Till now it was just you were having a good time. Now you have to exactly whatever you study now onwards, that would be a part of your training for 3rd of May. Keep this thing in mind. Just let me know if in case you have problems in zoology section. Okay. So whatever amount of living biomass you are having, that is called as standing crop. So standing state is quite different. How? It is talking about nutrients and this is talking about living biomass. So they are totally two different things on a different level. Now, productivity of the ecosystem. So productivity of the ecosystem depends on the rate of biomass production and amount of organic matter accumulated per unit area in per unit time. So suppose I am talking about two friends, friend A and friend B. Okay, let's give you an instance. So friend A has like 50 acres of land and B has 100 acres of land. So in same year, in 1 year only, or you can say one productive cycle, A produces somewhat 75 tons of crop from his 50 acres of part and B is able to produce 100 tons from his 100 acres of part. Okay. Now, can you tell me which of the biomass production, which of the friend has more of biomass production? Can you tell me which of the friend has more of biomass production? You have to calculate in this way: amount of organic matter accumulated in unit area, that is unit area is 50 acre and 100 acre, amount of organic matter is 75 ton and 100 ton respectively. In unit time I gave you 1 year. So who is having more productivity, A or B? No idea. Itanagar, Tamilong, Shillong, no idea. No idea. Huh? Try, this is so easy. Who is having more productivity? Ah, exactly. Who? For A, left hand, for B, right hand. Tamil Itanagar, you have to type. Yes, obviously. This friend is having more productivity. What is taking so long? Exactly. This friend is having more productivity. Why? Because only 50 acres are utilized to produce 75 tons in a unit time of 1 year. And he is having 100 acres, only 100 tons in unit time of 1 year. So obviously your friend A is having more productivity. So this is the productivity of an ecosystem similarly expressed. That is, what is the rate of biomass production, how you are producing the biomass. Now it is expressed in the terms of weight, that is per gram square, or energy, that is kilocalorie per meter square. Learn this. It might come in your NEET exam. So you can express in terms of either weight, that is per gram square, or energy, that is kilocalorie per meter square. Now rate of biomass production is expressed in terms of per gram square per year or kilocalorie per meter square per year. So this is expressed, this was the biomass production. So obviously when you write rate, you need to produce that dP by dt kind of thing. So you have to have put on year part. So rate is per unit time. So per year how much productivity is done in different ecosystem, we compare using this equation, this kind of unit. So primary productivity depends on the rate at which sunlight is captured, and they synthesize energy rich compounds, I told you, sucrose and starch, using photosynthesis. The rate of total productivity of organic material is known as gross primary productivity, or GPP. Sorry. Rate of total production of biomass or organic material is known as GPP. Now a plant produces GPP, but you know every green plant performs photosynthesis at night. We know that thing. Performs respiration at night. So that would be consuming energy from this GPP only. So whatever, suppose I am cooking food, suppose I am cooking food for my family, excuse me. So I would be producing what? I would be producing GPP. I am cooking food for whole family. Now from that food, I will be also having some food. Obviously, I am also a part of family. So I will be having some food. Suppose I am making 10 chapatis. Out of that, I am having 2 chapatis. So I will be using that food, that is 2 chapatis, that will be R, respiratory loss. So whatever will be left, that is 8 chapatis, will be called as NPP. So whatever, suppose I am making 10 chapatis and I am using 2 chapatis out of that, that is net primary productivity becomes how much? It becomes 8. That means net primary productivity is the total thing which will be available by a plant after the respiratory loss. So plant is going to lose things or utilize things from the GPP itself, that is gross primary productivity itself, to have its own requirement fulfilled during night time when it's performing respiration, and after that what we are getting is called as NPP, net primary productivity. So NPP equals to what? GPP minus R. So if you are giving an equation and you are giving these values, NPP and R, you can find out this GPP, isn't it? Or you are giving any of the 2 values and you can find the third one. So these kind of equations are important if you are expecting this kind of question. Fine. So this was the first part, that is productivity. That's for the first part of the ecosystem, that is called as productivity. Now the next part we have to deal is what? Decomposition. Now all the producers, all the consumers, everything, they have to die one day. Yes, we know that is inevitable. The second part of the ecosystem, decomposition. Do we have any problems in productivity? Anybody? Do we have any problems in productivity? Tamenlong, Shillong, Itanagar? Yes, just give me a thumbs up, Shillong. You can just answer in this way. That's the best thing we can communicate through. All clear? Just give me a thumbs up, please. C4 plants. Yes, there is a question from Tamenlong. Itanagar and Shillong, try and answer. What is C4 plant? What is C4 plant? Quickly answer me. What is C4 plant? Quickly answer me. What is C4 plant? Shillong. Photosynthesis is over. Tamenlong. What is C4 plant? Yes, there are two categories of plant. Either a plant will be C3 or it will be C4. Both the particular things happen during the dark cycle of a plant, where they are supposedly going to fix carbon dioxide. Now in case of C3 plants, they are having a cycle which is like, they don't have to fix during night time only. But in case of plants which are present in desert region, what happens is, to prevent the transpiration loss, they close their stomata during daytime. So what they do is that they convert into malic acid and store it for night. During night time, they convert the carbon, and these kind of plants are called as C4 plants. The best example is Zea mays, Saccharomorphes cinarum. So these type of plants, they convert the carbon into the organic compounds like sucrose and starch during a different part of cycle, and that is said to be C4. They convert it into two parts. Okay? Am I clear, Tamenlong? Yes, Shillong? Decomposition. So decomposition is what? You are breaking down complex organic matter. Okay? So you are taking a complex organic matter and you are decomposing it, and who are doing it? The special part decomposers. Into what? Into inorganic raw materials. So you can have a small equation over here. It's complex organic matter. And decomposers are breaking it into inorganic raw materials. Like what? Like CO2, water and nutrients. Now, important steps: fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification and mineralization. Now this catabolism is done by microbes. This is what is a part of these decomposers. Let's see. So fragmentation is what? What do you mean by fragmentation? You are breaking down things into simpler components. Which book is this? Can you recognize this book? Which book is this? Which book is this? What is the name of this book? Tamalong, Itanagar, Shillong. Name the book. It's not funny. Name the book. Yes. Name the book. No? Name the book quickly. I'm not going to spare you. How can you do this? Tamalong, Shillong, Itanagar, nobody. What book is this? This is your NCERT. Huh? How can you do this thing? Very bad. Not acceptable. Totally not. Okay, fine. So, just look at this. Why I have opened this? Just to show you a diagram. So, the important steps of fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification and mineralization. See, each and every line of your NCERT is a word from, a line from your Bible. If you have to clear NEET, NCERT is your Bible for that. Isn't it? That's the way we wish to survive in the world. You have to follow a holy book. So this is a holy book for your NEET exam. You cannot underestimate this book. Each and every line from ecology, from NCERT is directly asked. No need to apply your brain. You have to just read each and every line very, very carefully. And I am teaching you everything from NCERT itself in ecology. Okay, don't go outside NCERT in ecology, but make sure you are doing every line of NCERT. This is the thing I have been telling you since the starting of the session. And on the closing of the session also, we will be telling you the same thing. Okay. So these are the 5 steps: fragmentation first, leaching second, third catabolism, humidification fourth, and mineralization fifth stage. Now there's a different term called as detrivore, the new thing. Now detrivore is what? Since I told you this catabolism step is done by microbes, if you refer to your notes that I have forwarded you, I will just show you. This step is done by microorganisms. This step is done by microorganisms. So who would be doing this step? Obviously you need a different organism who is supposedly going to do this step. So there are 2 organisms involved in decomposition. Number 1, you have decomposition is done by detrivores, What detrivores do? They fragment or they break down the huge products This is the first category of organism, detrivore, who fragment the dead organic matter. Now, following detrivore, you have second different kind of organisms which are called as decomposers. What do decomposers do? They act on fragmented organic matter. So, this microorganism is a decomposer, but this fragmentation will be done by a detrivore. Clear? Just try and take a pic of this, everybody. You have this book, isn't it? You have this book at your home? All of you, just give me a thumbs up if you have this book. No? You don't have this book. Do you have? Yes, you should have this book. If not, you have to purchase it as soon as possible. Now also purchase it. Yes. Okay. So what are detrivores? Detrivores are the organisms just of category of earthworm which are breaking the detritus or the organic matter into smaller particles. And these smaller particles breaking process is called as fragmentation. So what is fragmentation? You are going to break a large complex, a major chunk into smaller parts. Now, you have to then undergo, that particular detritus has to undergo, fragmented, has to undergo a process called as leaching, where water soluble inorganic nutrients are escaping to soil horizon and get precipitated as unavailable salt. Let's write it. You can have a question that what kind of nutrients, inorganic or organic. So make sure you are losing on inorganic nutrients, not the organic. Okay, these are small things which actually affect your marking scheme in your NEET exam. So fragmentation, what does it do? It loses their water soluble inorganic nutrients, and these nutrients escape into soil horizon so you can say that this is like of new use now. So this becomes what? This becomes unavailable for any usage, unavailable salt. So they get precipitated and become unavailable for the usage. So this step is called as what? This step is called as leaching. The second step. Keep on copying, please. Fine. Now after leaching, the things which are left are what? The things which are left are treated by bacteria and fungi. So they treat the detritus into simple inorganic substances by process called as catabolism. So third step would be catabolism. So you have catabolism where you have microbes, that is mind it. Yes, just a minute. It is again inorganic, not organic. It is again inorganic only. Let me know when you're done with copying. Done? So you are only talking about inorganic things, keep in mind. So this is catabolism step, you are cutting it down, you are breaking it down, obviously the bacteria and fungi, by using their enzymes. So they act on detritus and convert them into simple inorganic forms. This process is called as catabolism. Fine, let's come back to this thing again. So following catabolism, next thing is what? So you have to work like at the same time things are happening. It's not like first this is going to happen, second this, or the same time everything is happening on the detritus. So all the things will happen at the same time. Next is humidification, that is the fourth step. So what is humidification? Humidification is basically conversion of the particular inorganic material into humus. This humus is what? This is a dark colored amorphous substance which is highly resistant to microbial action, and this decomposition takes place at a very slow rate. So, humus is basically a kind of substance that is very resistant to the process of the microbial enzymes, and it takes lot of time to decompose it, to break it down. So, they are colloidal, and this is very rich in nutrients. So, you are having a different category of microorganisms which are degrading the humus and release the inorganic nutrients by the process called as mineralization. Let's come back again. Next step is humification. What kind of minerals? Mind it, simple inorganic minerals. So, the story from beginning itself was about inorganic things. It was never considering organic part. So, you are breaking down the inorganic nutrients. Inorganic nutrients are releasing the soil by process of leaching, and finally the humification process releases the minerals. Again, what kind of minerals? Simple inorganic minerals. Isn't it? Now, decomposition is a question might come to you, is it aerobic or anaerobic? So, you have to keep in mind it's an aerobic process. When you talk about decomposition, what kind of process is it? This is totally an aerobic process. This is an aerobic process. Next, this depends on the quality of detritus. No, fragmentation is simply the thing what you mean to we mean to say is to break it down. So, in case of reproduction also, the fragmentation was a mode of reproduction, yes, I agree, but that was when we talked about the organism is breaking into parts, like suppose I talk about planaria. So, planaria fragments its body and both the body regenerates a new part. That was a mode of reproduction, asexual reproduction. But here what we are talking about, this is a fragment. Suppose I break this pen, this will be also called as fragmentation, isn't it? So, if you are breaking out something, you are totally cutting down something, it's called as fragmentation. Fragmentation means to just chop or just piece out something. Okay. So, this depends on the quality of detritus. How does it depend on the quality of detritus? We will see here that number one, if the detritus is rich in lignin and chitin, lignin and chitin are the plant cell wall materials, the process will be slow. And if it is rich in nitrogen and water, soluble substances like sugar, the process will be fast. Number 2. This was number 1. Number 2. This temperature and soil moisture are the most important climatic factors that regulate the decomposition process through their effects on the activities of the soil microbes. Like, if you have warm and moist environment, this will always favor. You must have seen that tropical rainforest, they are having warm and moist climate, and that they have a good speed of decomposition. So they are particularly factors that affect, and out of this, temperature and soil moisture is the most important thing. So depends on the quality of detritus plus temperature and soil moisture. How quality of the detritus? Detritus rich in nitrogen plus sugar, more decomposition, and less in lignin and chitin. Okay, clear? So we have completed the second part of decomposition. So we have done up to this section, that is decomposition part of the ecosystem is done. The third part is energy flow. So you can just have a look at this cycle on in your book NCERT. This thing, you can just refer to this thing, that leaves are falling and they are eaten by insects, and nutrient and energy enters the food web, and then this is an earthworm which is eating the leaf, and then after the process some nutrients leach in the soil. This was leaching, and the organic rich soil is again released, decomposition by earthworm, bacteria, fungi and all those things. So they are eaten up by some fungi and they become to form loose litter, and finally everything is absorbed by the plant. So this is a cycle where decomposers, they return back the nutrient back to the soil from where it can be absorbed by the higher plants. Fine. So we will be doing energy flow now. You can take a small break and then we will continue with energy flow. Okay. Let me know if anything is not clear. The two components are complete. Left with two more components, and we will do some MCQs. We will do that after break. Okay, let's continue from energy flow. All in the class? I guess so. Let's continue from the energy flow part. So this is the third component of your ecosystem, which is called as energy flow, and this trophic level is connected by food transfer. So you are transferring the food from one trophic level to another trophic level. So transfer of energy from one trophic level to another. So this particular thing to the consumer, that is whatever producers are producing, it is going to consumers. This is said to be energy flow, and we have already discussed that there are three types of consumers: primary, secondary and tertiary consumers. So this whole energy flow system depends on a food chain, and we have two types of food chain, that is either grazing food chain or detritus food chain. It's called as GFF and GFC and DFC. So a question often comes that what is longer, the grazing food chain or detritus food chain? You have to answer that detritus food chain is shorter. This GFC is longer and this is shorter comparatively. So this kind of question just comes in NEET. So this extends from producers, herbivores to carnivores. See, there are so many components of this particular cycle. Grass eaten by grasshopper, grasshopper is eaten by lizard, and lizard eaten by hawk. However, the detritus food chain begins with the dead organic matter and it becomes detritus, on which the organisms or detritus feeders, they feed and convert them into simpler organic substances that can be reabsorbed. So you can see this detritus food chain over here. A litter has fallen freshly, decomposers, saprobes, that is what is earthworms, they are acting over it, and game fish, that is a particular fish which feeds on earthworm. Every fish can feed on earthworm. So this is the top carnivore for this food chain. So this is started over here from detritus, and this has only two components, isn't it? Now, based on this, we have the trophic level arrangement. Based on the trophic level arrangement, we have ecological pyramids, which was discovered by Elton, Charles Elton. His full name is Charles Elton, in the 1927 year, and based on this, his name, we also call the ecological pyramids to be Eltonian pyramids. So if you see this thing in exam, don't get confused. What is Eltonian pyramids? The same pyramids discovered by Charles Elton. So what do we do in Eltonian pyramids? We represent graphically the trophic levels or trophic structures of the ecosystem, and in this way we constitute ecological pyramids, food pyramids, where producers occupy the topmost level of the pyramid. So producers will be at the topmost level, at the apex, at the base of the pyramid. Apex means base. So we have three different types of pyramids based on that: pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, pyramid of energy. Now, pyramid of number and pyramid of biomass can be both upright as well as inverted. That is, they can be in this way or in this way. So always and always you have to have producers at what level? At this level. Am I clear? So this pyramid of biomass can be, the producers can be one and many dependents on them. Producers can be many and many dependents on them, comparatively lesser number of dependents on them. So you have two particular examples, but pyramid of energy is always upright. It's compulsion. This is always upright. Let me see why. See this. This is a pyramid of number in the grassland ecosystem. So grassland ecosystem has what? It has many producers, many grasses, many trees, many plants, and based on those we have some primary consumers whose numbers are less. Then we have secondary consumers having a further lesser number, and tertiary consumer having least number. So this is pyramid of number which is upright. This example is a grassland ecosystem. So in a grassland ecosystem, the pyramid of number is always upright. Example. Next. This is a pyramid of biomass where we have more of primary producers, depending on them a lesser number of primary consumers, secondary consumers, and least tertiary consumers. This is pyramid of biomass. So you can have pyramid of biomass in grassland ecosystem also. This is upright. Fine. And next we have is inverted pyramid of biomass, where you have a comparatively, this is important, where you have a comparatively lesser number of producers, and on those less number of producers you have more primary consumers depending. So we have example, a pond ecosystem. Where less biomass of phytoplanktons supporting, say, standing crop you have already done the amount of biomass, more biomass of zooplankton. So we have discussed two pyramids. Now this is pyramid of energy. Now why I am telling you pyramid of energy is always upright? The reason is that there is a particular law called as 10% law. According to that 10% law, only 10% of energy will be transferred to the next trophic level from the successive trophic level. So from this to this 10, from this to this 10, and finally from this to this also 10%. So you can just calculate 10,000 joule, 10% of 10,000 joule is 1,000 transferred to primary consumers, and 10% of 1,000 is 100 joule transferred to secondary consumers, and 10% of 100 joule is 10 joule transferred to tertiary consumers. So at the end of the day, what we have is, in this case, we cannot actually have the reverse thing. That is why pyramid of energy is always upright, without any exception. So biomass and number can be upright, inverted, but pyramid of energy is always and always upright. So this 10% law was given by Lindemann. Pyramid of number, you can invert it when you just take into account a particular banyan tree. There is one banyan tree, and on that one banyan tree you have many insects, and on those many insects you have many more birds depending. So this can be a particular kind of structure where you have a inverted number pyramid, isn't it? See, if you count the number of insects feeding on a big tree, what kind of pyramid would you get? Small birds depending on the insects, large bird eating the smaller one. So what kind of pyramid you are getting? You are getting an inverted pyramid. Everything is in your NCERT. Inverted pyramid of number. One banyan tree or any tree having many insects supporting many more birds, and those many more birds supporting many larger birds. So this is what is pyramid of number inverted. But however, pyramid of energy and biomass which are upright are more common compared to inverted. So if a question comes to you, which is more common, which is more in number, so upright is more in number compared to inverted. This is more common in nature. But however, we have some exceptions like this when you are talking about one tree supporting insects and birds and all, similar kind of thing. And one more biomass is this exception where you talk about pond ecosystem, where you have a lesser number of phytoplanktons, lesser biomass of phytoplanktons. They are supporting a comparatively more biomass of zooplankton. So these are two exceptions. There are more exceptions although, but more common if a question comes, pyramid of pyramid of biomass and number when upright is more common. Is more common compared to inverted. So we do have certain limitations to these pyramids. What are the limitations? They don't take into account what? They don't take into account one species which is living at different trophic levels. Like you can have frogs at two different trophic levels as well. You can have bear at two different trophic levels. But they don't consider these kind of things. So these are one of the shortcomings of the pyramid of ecological pyramids. And we don't have any place for food webs. That is what is actually operating in the ecosystem, food web. Food chain is not operative in the ecosystem, but we have food webs operative. But there is no place for food web in the ecosystem, but we talk about only food chain. Saprophytes, they are important members of the ecosystem, but they don't have any place in this. Food web is like a kind of structure where you get to have different kind of organisms which are related to each other in a way that, let me see, if I have a diagram over here of food web. We don't have a food web. Let's draw this food web, no issue. Food web is something, this kind of structure. Like suppose grass is eaten by grasshopper. Grasshopper is eaten by a frog. No, they are different things. Food web is actually a web. Web means a spider web kind of thing where organisms are interrelated. And food chain is a total straight line where grass, grasshopper, frog, hawk, that's all, isn't it? But food web will be something like this. Frog can be eaten by a snake and frog can be eaten by a hawk. The snake can be eaten by a hawk too. This kind of structure is called as food web. Are you getting this thing? Now, grass can be eaten by deer, deer can be eaten by lion, deer can be eaten by fox, and fox can be eaten up by lion. This kind of things they are called as food web, where things are interrelated. Grass, grasshopper, frog, snake, hawk is a food chain. But we don't mention over here that frog can be eaten by both of them, that is snake also and hawk also. This is what is a food web. Okay, just draw a straight line, that is grass by goat and goat by man. This is a food chain. You don't have much complication. This is a simple straight line. When you have interrelated things, when organisms can eat each other, that's called as food web. And I guess we are clear. We'll come to the next part, that is ecological succession. So what is ecological succession? That is what kind of species composition a particular area is going to get when it is undergoing the process of changes. So entire sequence of the change is actually called as serai. So there can be one serai or more than one serai. Obviously there are multiple serai, and individual community, that is what is the stage, is called as a seral stage or seral community. This can take place in either water, called as hydrarch, or in dry conditions called as xerarch. So if it starts from water, it will end up in a condition where there is medium water, and if it starts from dry condition, it will end up again in a condition that is mesic. So both of them, they have to come to a same point, that is mesic condition. Either it is very dry or it is very, very wet condition. So both of them have to come to a mesic. Mesic means medium condition. So the first species that comes in the area, okay, the first species that comes in the area, first seral stage is always called as serai, pioneer species. Example, see. Give me 1 minute. Some technical issue in the laptop. Yes. Yes, look over here. We have different serai. Yeah, you can talk about it like evolution, but the thing is that evolution has already taken place. We are not running currently in evolutionary phases. But serre is, suppose there is a particular land or particular area which is just like just a catch a fire. So forest fire was there, and after that you have to have new species growing on that area. So that kind of structure is called as serre. Or a fresh volcano has just erupted and you have molten lava over there. That lava cools down and starts to produce new organism. That is what is called as serre. So these kind of structures, they have a consecutive levels where we can see here also. So we have lichen stage, we have crustose stage. The first stage of serre is lichen. So first of all, lichens will be growing on that place. So after lichens, we have the next species, that is, because lichens, they leave behind a huge organic content, and on that organic content we expect a lot number of organisms to survive, like you have moss stage over here. So after mosses, there is more of organic matter concentration, grass stage, then perennial stage, shrub stage, and finally what we have is big trees, and that is called as climax stage. So it starts from the basic level. So each of them is a serre. This is a serre, this is serre 2, this is serre 1, isn't it? This all are serre. So consecutively you have many serres. So obviously the first stage, the first organism to come on the platform is said to be the pioneer species. Pioneer means the one which comes first, and last, where you have the species, they end up in nothing, they end up in like finishing up with everything, that's called as climax stage. So either it is a water condition or it is a totally dry condition. What they prefer is that we prefer is a kind of atmosphere, a kind of environment where the evolution has taken place or the succession has taken place in a way that we talk about things in a way that stability is achieved. The main thing what we talk about is stability. So we have a climax community, and this whole step of serre formation and all those things, that is taking place by ecological succession. So we talked about ecological succession also over here. So this all things, they happen when we talk about ecological succession. So these succession things, they are in a way that, I don't know what is happening to system. So these succession things are happening in a particular type that one after another one stage is established. Okay, just let me see if this works. It's not exactly like that, but yes, it should follow a certain sequence. Not necessarily, but it should follow a certain sequence. We expect that a particular organism should come into existence after that organism, because that is a particular stage where organic matter has accumulated to that level. So it's not like that. If it is not happening, it will not be satisfying the things of serre. Let me see if this works. I'm not sure why this book is not opening. Let's see. Yes. I guess we should be able to do it now. Yes. Problem, some issue, I guess. Okay. Let it be, we continue in the notes only. You can see here the text matter. See, Examples of succession can be from these areas where you have a newly cooled lava, a bare rock, newly created pond or reservoir. So there are two kinds of successions. If you talk about succession, we have two kinds of successions. The first is said to be the primary succession. So primary succession is taking place in that area where there was no life form earlier. No life earlier. So what are the examples of no life earlier? Like molten lava, a bare rock, a newly created pond or reservoir. They don't have life earlier. So they will be starting primary succession. The second type of succession is called as secondary succession, where there was already something earlier. For example, suppose there was a fire, forest fire. So obviously after forest fire we have a substantial amount of organic matter left. That is what is called as secondary succession. You can write it over there. Succession after a forest fire or anything like that. So there is a substantial amount of organic matter where the organisms can think to start after that. See, takes place in those areas where natural biotic communities have been destroyed, such as abandoned farmland, burned or cut forest, and land that has been flooded. So after flood, if succession starts, it's called as secondary succession. Now we have got this page. There's a problem in loading, I guess. There is one primary succession example in water given in your book. You have to mark this, to follow this in fact. See this. So first of all, there is a newly formed water body, and this newly formed water body will be first and foremost having phytoplanktons. After the phytoplanktons are like existing, this gives rise to submerged plant stage. Number 2. After submerged plant stage, we have some free floating plants also. See, there is some free floating plants also present. And there we have is next D stage, that is reed and swamp stage. This is reed and swamp stage. And finally we have marsh meadow stage, where there is some marsh area formed, and following this we have some scrubs, or you can say those particular plants which can live on land, they are coming. And finally the whole thing is over when we get a climax community. So this is basically a kind of primary succession in water, hierarchy in water. So this is very important, since it is given you in NCERT. I have always told you things which are in your NCERT are very important. Now if a question comes to you, the rate of primary is greater or secondary is greater. So rate of secondary succession will be always more. Keep on writing these notes. Why? Why the rate of secondary succession is always higher or faster? Any reason? Yes, phytoplankton is the pioneer stage. Why is it is always faster, secondary succession, compared to primary? Any reason or as such? Any reason why it is higher? Because it already has some organic matter. It does not have to start from zero. It has some organic matter, and because of that thing, what we have is, we have the rate of secondary succession comparatively higher than the primary succession. Primary succession always starts from zero. Okay? Are we clear? Everybody? Yes, Shillong? Clear, children? Okay, very good. Tamenglong? Itanagar? Clear? Okay, very good. So, you'll come back to, finally I was able to open this file. I'm so happy. Okay, fine. So, we have this particular kind of stage, serial stage. Similarly, hydra, this is the thing which we have now, just now seen in the diagram. You can just refer to it. The plant names we need not learn. This particular section on the right hand side, just leave it. Just leave it. Okay, it was earlier for AIMS and all. Since now AIMS is merged with NEET, so no need to learn these things. Just forget about these things. These things, just forget about it. Fine? Just remove these things. They will not come in your exam. So don't be, just remove. This was for AIMS. Since you don't have AIMS now, just escape these things. Okay? Just follow these, this left hand side. I am making your work easier. Now, nutrient cycling. Now, whatever things we have in your nature, they are supposedly, you know what, they are cycled one after another. So, this nutrient cycling is basically because of a cycle called as biogeochemical cycle. Biogeochemical cycle. That is bio from the organisms going to the earth, and then chemically they are again going to the particular organism, different organisms. So, this is biogeochemical cycle. This is what is two types of cycles we are going to study, that is gaseous cycle and sedimentary cycle. Gaseous cycle are those which have the reservoir in atmosphere, and sedimentary are those which have their reservoir in the earth's crust, that means on the lithosphere part, on the land part. So, gaseous cycle, there are two examples, nitrogen and carbon. Sedimentary, we have two examples, sulfur and phosphorus. You have to study carbon and phosphorus in detail. Forget about nitrogen and sulfur. Let's see the cycles. So, this is the carbon cycle. Since childhood we are studying these cycles, that is not much of like tension to us. So, what we have is carbon in atmosphere, CO2 in atmosphere, since reservoir is in atmosphere. Now, we have burning of forest, combustion and everything, releasing carbon dioxide. Photosynthesis is utilizing carbon dioxide. We are getting respiration and decomposition, releasing, since decomposition is an aerobic process. I have just taught you. Combustion of fossil fuels, whatever is combusting, adding to the CO2. Then we are absorbing CO2 not only by photosynthesis, this is important. We are not only absorbing this through this particular pathway, but photosynthesis, aquatic food chain also accumulates CO2 in water, and this decays organism. It is phytoplanktons, they are releasing CO2, and finally CO2 is also submitted in organic sediments. So, this forms calcium carbonate. We have detritus food chain. If a question comes to you, detritus food chain releases CO2, you have to say yes. Detritus food chain releases CO2. So, there are only two things which are absorbing CO2, if you can see. Number one, it is absorbed by the aquatic food chain in water and is absorbed by the trees on the land, terrestrial food chain. Okay? And rest all the things are releasing CO2. Whether it is decay of organisms, whether it is the detritus food chain, everything is releasing CO2. So, this is what is, and some CO2 remains in the form of sedimentary cycle also, calcareous sediment, that is calcium carbonate 2. Okay. This is what is the carbon cycle. We again have one more cycle, that is phosphorus cycle, that is sedimentary cycle. You can see here the sedimentary cycle. You have consumers, producers eaten up by consumers. Both of them, they die, later fall, death. Convert in detritus, start decomposition, leaching. Now, leaching, some of them becomes unavailable, you know, this is leaching, that's not taught you. And some of the rock minerals, they release by the process of weathering phosphorus into a soil solution. This soil solution is uptaken by producers. The producers take this particular soil solution and the phosphorus reaches into them. So this is the whole phosphorus cycle. Exam, what you can have is, you can have the boxes, the particular things will be missing from the boxes, and they will be asking you to fill the box. So be very sure you are going with every diagram in NCERT very finely. They can like pull over here, they can just make it A, and you have to fill the blanks with right A option. Okay, they can make B, C. So they can just mix and match everything and then can ask you questions. Weathering is like, suppose there's hot, cold. The night is cold, the days are hot. So in this way, the whole atmosphere or the particular rocks, they start to show changes in a way, they start to crack. This is what is called as weathering. Or supposedly a seed falls in the gap, a particular crack of rock, gradually the seed grows, the rock breaks down into two parts. It's called as weathering. The last thing is, we talk about ecosystem services. So what is ecosystem services? Ecosystem services are all the good things that is provided by the ecosystem. What good things are provided by ecosystem? If you go and read, there are lots of things. So whatever benefits you are getting from the natural ecosystem is said to be ecosystem services. Like they purify water, air, they perform decomposition, cycle nutrients, pollination, maintain biodiversity. All these things are free of cost, done by your ecosystem, my ecosystem. So there's a person, there's an ecologist called as, his name is Robert Constanza. He tried to put a price tag for these things, and the price is this, unimaginable. US dollar 33 trillion a single year. These are the price, this is the price what we have put for the ecosystem services. So ecosystem is giving all these services free of cost. It's called as ecosystem services. And obviously this is the reason why we should always appreciate our ecosystem, because if you don't respect your ecosystem, nature will also not survive, nature will also not exist. The stability will be gone. Fine. So tell me, do we have any doubts? We are done with the chapter. Ecosystem is done. Tell me, do we have any doubts? Tamilong, Itanagar, Shillong, everybody from Shillong. Yes. Clear? Can we do some questions? Can we do some questions? Yes, tell me. No doubts? I guess we can do some questions. Answer this question. At trophic level of consumers, this is consumers, the rate at which food energy is assimilated is said to be what? at the level of consumers, the rate at which food energy is assimilated is called as see, GPP was something which was by the producers, it was gross primary productivity. NPP full form is net primary productivity. So that is what is supposedly by the by the producers. These two terms are the at the level of producers. No, this suppose you are eating a plant. So plant has NPP. Plant started to make GPP, then it lost some of its own energy in respiratory losses and ended up in having NPP, net primary productivity, gross primary productivity. It is only in terms of producers. You don't have to consider yourself into this. Now whatever NPP you are having, I am eating up a plant which is offering me only NPP. I will be building my energy, isn't it? When you eat food, you build up your own energy, and that energy build up in your body is said to be what? Is said to be secondary productivity. So secondary productivity is something what secondary, like consumers build up. So when you are eating a plant, you are having also productivity. Your body cells also increase, your DNA content, your protein content increases, and this is what is called as secondary productivity. So secondary productivity is attained by eating producers. So when you are eating a producers, you are getting what? You are getting secondary productivity. Primary was done by producers itself. Clear? Clear? It must be, I guess. One more question. Retrivore means yes. Easy one. This is very easy. This question, yes, Tamil, your answer for question number 2. See, retrivore means what? Retrivore means those who are feeding on detritus, decomposers. Major reservoir for phosphorus is soil and rocks, and it is a sedimentary cycle. Which pyramid is inverted? Pyramid of energy, pyramid of biomass, pyramid of number, all can be inverted. Which pyramid can never be inverted? Easy one. Yes, pyramid of energy can never be inverted. Fine, so we have to solve more questions. Go back home, and I have sent you many links. We have discussed many things. I have sent you 30-year compilations also. I will be sending you some notes also. So just make sure microbes notes, I guess I need to send, because some of you are asking for that. So I will be sending that also. So make sure after all these things, when you are done with all these things, make sure you are training yourself by doing questions. Unless until you are doing questions, you are solving out things from the previous years, and make sure ecology is 100% done from NCERT. Each and every line from NCERT ecology unit is very, very important. Okay, you are left with 2 chapters from ecology, that is, one is biodiversity and conservation, and last is environmental issues. That will be done by Vineet sir. Fine? Okay, just make sure you are trying your best, giving up your best performance. Yes, I know you will be doing that. I am expecting a lot from you people, and yes, I expect, obviously all of you get a good seat in your NEET exam, whichever state you wish to. Okay, hopefully you might come to Delhi also if you get Lady Harding and Mamsi, you never know. So try your best, and AIMS also, from today now onwards, AIMS will also is a part of NEET itself. So we never know, we can meet here also. I need not go to Shillong to meet you people, Itanagar or Tamil Nadu. So hopefully do the best thing, and please ask me questions. If you have any trouble, just post the question on the group. Like I found a question after a long time from Nisha that day, it was good. So keep on posting things, we will be happy to help you out. We are here to help you out only. Fine, revise a lot, take good care of your health, because yes, you should be healthy to study hard, have good food, good sleep, not too much of sleep, but good sleep. Okay, fine. See you soon, take care, bye-bye, all the best.